There used to be a house right here. In January of 2011, the river came completely underneath the corner of their house, undercut the foundation. And as loud and uproarious as the sound and the fury of all that water was, no water got in the house. The river just undercut right underneath the house, compromised the livability and viability of the structure. And this happened in a number of other areas along the river. The county used federal disaster money to buy the home out voluntarily from the owners, so they would no longer be in jeopardy, and the property was returned to open space, so there would no longer be any flood hazard or risk in this particular location.
Flood is water from any source, and generally an outside source that has inundated your home. Whether it has come in the house or whether because of the water levels being so high it's caused foundation damage. So if you have erosion, if you're alongside the river and the river all of a sudden took another direction and now all of a sudden, it's eroded and part of your house is hanging over, you would have coverage for that. If you don't have flood insurance and you have a flood claim, you can apply for federal disaster assistance. But what most people don't realize about disaster assistance is A, they won't write you a check until you go get flood insurance to protect against the next possible claim, and they give it to you in the way of a loan. And in most cases, the average amount of that loan is about $30,000. So if you're having to purchase flood insurance or you already have a flood insurance policy in force, there are ways to reduce your flood premiums. One is an elevation certificate, and that certifies where your physical house sits in relations to where they expect the water to rise to. The elevation certificate's kind of the roadmap to tell us if you have any mitigation options. If a home has what they call a below-grade crawl space, which means when you crawl under it, it's lower than your front yard or backyard, your rate is again at the dirt, which can be way below base flood elevation. So sometimes bringing that up by either adding sand under your house or pea gravel under your house to bring it up to your level of your yard can significantly reduce your premiums. You could be paying higher rates because you simply just don't have proper vents in your foundation. If you don't have proper venting, it puts too much force on the foundation walls, and it can move your foundation walls, it can move your house. So when you properly vent and it equalizes that water pressure, you have less damage to your house. And so adding vents could lower your rates sometimes by 50% or more. And especially with the older homes that are considered pre-firm homes in Oregon, FEMA will continue to raise the federal rates on those at about 23% every year until you get an elevation certificate and actually rate it. The thing is you're going to save that money every single year that you have that policy in force. And if you have a 30-year mortgage and you're carrying flood insurance for 30 years, and if you can save $1,000 every year for 30 years, it's a significant amount of money.
If you can see the river, if you can hear the river, you're close enough for the erosion hazard to be a problem. The county's urging everyone who's up here, if you can see the Sandy River, it's probably a good idea to consider flood insurance.